The game of basketball is a whole new world than it was just a few years ago. Now the NBA has athletes that are 7'4" and able to shoot threes from anywhere like it's nothing. The NBA is also as inclusive as ever and is able to bring more of an audience and is able to keep the game as refreshing as ever. The NBA draws in millions of viewers and draws a huge audience. And sports are always able to bring people together, even if that's not specifically basketball, and people should know about what it has to offer and the implementations of the sport to motivate them to get an interest in the sport themselves or just grow their interest in the sport. The NBA these past few years have already had major changes, with these biggest ones being the implementations of the NBA in-season tournament and the NBA play-in tournament, with this making huge changes to the game and changing the league as we know it, making it so that change is evident and known that change can be made in many other aspects of the game. The reason I am credible about what I will be talking about is because I am very passionate about basketball and have been for multiple years. I try to follow it as much as possible with all the trades that occur and keeping up with videos explaining important things to look out for, such as the upcoming draft and the future talent that will be entering the league in short time, and how the league is also non-stop evolving and changing year by year. And also, not just that, but I'll be using credible sources and websites to back my known information as well. Today I would like to talk about the ever-growing league of the NBA and how it has and will also continue to evolve. The league is completely unfamiliar from its original start, but the shocking thing is the sport is even a little unfamiliar from just a decade ago, with all these athletes being completely different. Not just the names themselves are different names, but the builds and player styles of all these new players, as well as the implementations that have already been put in place, changes the game as we know it. And that isn't over, with the NBA continuously discussing room to continue evolving and changing the game as we know it. This league has varied throughout the years, but first we need to discuss the already made changes and how that is so extreme, how that changes the landscape of the NBA. The NBA has already had its fair changes throughout the last few years, making a big difference to its athletes and its audience, making it more entertaining as ever and drawing in more of an audience to see these large changes come to life and see how they develop and work out. The NBA has already made implementations over these past few years that have altered the league for the better. These changes have already been put in place to affect the fans, audience, and the teams, making the game refreshing and entertaining throughout the year. These larger changes were the additions of 2 tournaments, those being the play-in tournament and the in-season tournament. Viewership has decreased among a variety of sports, including basketball, probably a large reason as to why these implementations were made. The TV ratings suggest the play-in tournament was successful in drawing in more viewers, with tournament games both on ESPN and TNT averaging 1.5 million viewers, which is a 26% increase from the previous year, with this cover from Forbes in 2024 by Brian Bushard. And the in-season tournament was used in the same way, in a sense, to draw more audience due to the decreasing viewership. The in-season tournament was implemented last year, and the finals for that tournament delivered the top audience outside of Christmas Day games and the postseason in more than 5 years. This is the only thing with all the viewership increasing with the tournament. Local viewership is up by 20%, national games up by 26%. The League Pass viewership for the group play nights up 25%, and the average attendance was the highest in November, as well as the social channels of the NBA had their best first month ever with 3.9 billion video views. With there seeming to be more stakes, it draws in a larger crowd, with knockout stages being win or go home. It gets people to want to tune in. Besides additions to the sport like additional tournaments and things like that, there have also been various rule changes that have affected the game immensely. The addition of a potential second challenge to an incorrect play to an NBA game is an immense change. Some NBA games are decided by a point or two, and one missed call can change the game and the whole complexion of a game. So with the implementation of a potential added challenge, if you have a successful first challenge, is extremely important. Another very important addition is the calling of flopping. With this, it makes the playing of defense more important, with the defense getting punished for trying to get away with flopping, with them being punished with a technical foul instead of no reprimand for bad defense. So this is a very big making, so it makes defenders play more intense to make sure they stay in front of their man and don't get punished for lazy defense, give them a technical foul and a free throw. Everything the NBA has done over the past few years have been crucial and important changes. These changes improve the game itself and bring more refreshing and exciting games for the viewer. All these changes, for the most part, have been for the positive. It also helps a lot more than the talent entering the league is unlike anything people have ever seen before. The athletes of today are unlike those from the past. These builds are unlike those of the past, with them seeming made up when you look at how crazy the talent pool is in the NBA. According to Stacker.com, the averages from 1969 to current day are a pretty large difference. The average height back then used to be a little over 6'5", with now the average height being 6'7". Also, according to Stacker.com, ran in 2019 by Andrew Lisa, the average weight from back then was around 205 pounds, and them now being around 220 average weight. NBA talent is only getting bigger and stronger than it ever was, with there being so much more ways to stay in shape, and with competition only increasing, so is the genetic freaks there are in the league. But it isn't just the builds of the players getting crazier as in height and body, but also skills only increasing more and more. The talent pool around the NBA is as good as it's ever been and will only continue to improve. Roles haven't drastically changed, but style of play continues to change. According to Blaster News and Stacker.com, the shift of play has led to a huge increase in three-point attempts. This style of play about 10 years ago has completely changed, with big men being utilized in the paint, but now every player can basically do everything, including the big being a liable shooter. Three-point attempts in the 2008 season was 18.04 attempts, and just in 2017-18, it's 28.98, and it just continues to increase. Scoring is at an extreme high, which reflects the huge skill set and skill improvement over the years, with the average points in the 2022-23 season being 114.2 and 2012-2013 being 98.1, shown through statistics found in Sports Kita in 2023 by Asmir Pekmich. This just highly reflects how evolved the offensive side of the game has improved over the years, and this can also be seen when hearing interviews of NBA players claiming that players from so many generations ago not being even able to compete with the skill set of the league today, because it is so evolved with the ever-growing shooting rather than more interior scoring of the past. The talent surrounding the NBA just goes to show how much the game has evolved and how highly skilled they are from then to the past. The game has already changed. The talent surrounding the NBA just goes to show how much the game has evolved and how highly skilled they are from now then to the past. The game has already changed in drastic ways, but there are already multiple plans to continue to evolve the game that would be drastic for the league and create a whole new environment and style of play for years to come if all these changes were implemented. According to FTW.USA Today, in 2023 by Blake Shuster, expansion teams seems inevitable at this point. Talks about expansion has been going on for the longest time, with many cities being rumored for being the front runners of being those potential expansion teams. Adam Silver, the commissioner of the NBA, even said that once the NBA completes its media rights deal in 2024, that's when the conversation for expansion can begin. So with this, it seems pretty clear expansion is bound to happen. The big question is when. But with this, additional teams are super critical and major and will shift the dynamic of the NBA in a variety of ways, such as more teams to keep an eye on, and also be worried, especially during an expansion draft, especially for those high key teams. This one doesn't seem as sudden or as likely as the expansion of NBA teams, but there are many reasons to believe in the potential of a 4-point line. The NBA increases its range of shooting every year, and a huge reason to believe this is players already practice shooting a 4-point line at practice and at All-Star Weekend during the 3-point contest. They have implemented a 4-point shot from farther out, which hints at the potential of the addition of a 4-point line in the NBA. The only question is when. Large changes are being rumored for the All-Star Game. According to USA Today in 2024 by Jeff Zogett, there is large talks of changing the format. The idea seems to be switching to a 4-team mini tournament, which it does seem likely changes in order. All-Star Game used to be one of the most exciting events regarding basketball, and now it seems like everyone could care less. The effort level and entertainment are missing from All-Star Weekend, and maybe this new format will bring back viewers and make people want to watch the All-Star Game again. But change does need to be made, because the past few All-Star Weekends come off as stale and don't really give much due to the players just basically having a fancy shoot-around with that more or less joke around than actually trying to play the game. Change has and will continue to be made to draw in as much viewers as possible. All the changes have been done for the better, and I'm excited to see what other future changes they make and how they'll improve the NBA. The NBA has done whatever it can to increase its viewership and to improve the game as a whole, whether that be through rule changes or additional stakes added to the league. They've also had the best talent in basketball, which has only continued to improve through time with the game always evolving, and will continue to do what they must in order to draw more eyes, and that seems to be circled around by rumors of potential expansion teams or changes to the All-Star format, but there are also maybe changes to the rules of the game itself. However, the game will continue to evolve and improve as need be. The NBA is as good as it's ever been, with talent from all around the world, from the likes of people like Stephen Curry, who can shoot from anywhere, or players like Victor Wembanyama, who is 7'4" and can do everything and moves like a guy who is 6 foot. There's only one league you can watch all that talent and witness the game evolve right in front of your very eyes, so give it a try and it won't disappoint.